Good morning everyone. Myself Revati, working as a assistant professor in Artificial Intelligence and Data Science Department in JSREC Engineering College, Tripur. In this video, we are going to discuss about the tidal power or tidal energy. It is the one of the renewable energy resource. In this tidal power or tidal energy, the hydropower, that is the hydropower may be a kinetic energy or potential energy. The energy obtained from the tides, it will be converted into the useful form, that is electricity. The hydropower that is converted into the useful form of the another resource, that is electricity. Here we generate the energy from the tides, electricity from the tides. Based on the gravity influence between the moon, earth, sun, there is the tides are forming in the sea. So height difference between the sea waves, that is sea tides, there is the two possible tides are available, that is high tide and low tide. In high tide, there is the water level is high, so the waves are forming also high. So in high tide and low tide, in the low tide is possible only at the minimum water level of the ocean. There is the types of tides, high tide and low tide, and also there is another two types of tides are possible based on the gravity between the moon, earth and sun. There is another two types of tides are possible during the full moon and new moon days. The spring tides is possible, that is the waves are high, so the time the spring tide is possible. During the third quarter moon and first quarter moon, the possibilities of tides level is low, that is minimum level only. The types of tides are called as a neap tide. Let's see the working principle of tidal power plants. We already discussed that based on the gravitational influence between the moon, earth and sun, the sea level is varying. So sea level is varying means that is the various waves are formed, whether it is high tides or low tides or spring or neap tides. Based on that, the wave is periodically rising, and the fall of water level of the sea, it will be occur due to the gravitational between the moon and the sun and earth also. So the large amount of the potential energy, it will be obtained in the tides. So from the tides, the electricity power will be generated by using the turbine generator. The another two types is float tide and ebb tide. When the water level is above the mean of the sea level, normal sea level, but sometimes the water level is above the mean of the sea level. At that time, the waves are called as a float tide. When the water level is the below, that is minimum level of the water sea level, it's called a ebb tide. So the ocean tides rise and fall, and water can be stored during the some amount of period, and it can be discharged during the fall. A dam is constructed based on the dam is constructed separating the tidal basin from the sea. That is the large amount of sea water, it will be stored in the basin. The level of the basin, the level of the water in the basin and the sea water, it should be maintained in some level, that is it should not be equal. See, in this diagram, the sea level of water is high. When the sea level water is high, automatically the water coming into the turbine generator. inside the turbine generator there is a turbine blades are there, and generator is also there. It's used to generate the kinetic energy. It's converted into the electricity generator. After that turbine and generator, the seawater, it will be moved into the basin. When the basin is filled with water, after it will be going out from the turbine generator through the turbine generator into the sea level. In first diagram, the tides are coming in. It will be coming through the turbine generator and it will be stored in the basin. In second diagram, it will be tide is going out from the basin. From the basin, the water coming through the wind turbine generator, and it again return to the sea water again. There is the water level is high, so the waves are forming also high. So in high tide and low tide. In the low tide is possible only at the minimum water level of the ocean. There is the in tidal barrage, it look like a dam structure that is used to store the large amount of sea water. It will be keep the sea water from the moving level. In sluice gate is when the sea water is high, that is flood tides are possible, means the large amount of sea water is coming into the basin. So that time the sluice gate is open. When the low level tides are possible, means that is a minimum level of water only available in the sea or ocean, means that time the sluice gate is act like a barricades, that is closed. The sluice gate is closed. The tidal stream generator working principle, it will be same as the wind turbines. It's the turbine and generator convert the movement of water level into the kinetic energy into the electricity. When we compare the both air and water, the water density level is 830 times is high. So from the wind energy we produce the electricity, but when compared to the wind energy, here the tidal energy producing the large amount of electricity, because the water density is high when compared with air. So see in this diagram, the high tide is formed in the sea, so the water level is high. That time the sea water is coming into the basin. The dam is the dam type construction is there. Inside the dam construction, the turbine generation is also there. The water will be moved through the turbine generator and automatically it filled with the tidal basin. So the generation of the power stops when the sea level and the tidal basin level are equal, because when the sea level and tidal basin level is equal, there is the no movement between the water level. There is the no movement in the water level, means the turbine blades are not moved. So we want to produce the electricity from the tidal energy, means we should maintain the sea level and the basin level. It should not be equal at all the time. It is the very important thing. The different types of tidal power plants. The first one, single basin system and double basin system. From the single basin system, one-way system is there, two-way system and two-way with the pump storage, and a double basin system, double basin system and a double basin with the pumping system. Let's see one by one indeed. In single basin system, it's look like a storage of dam structure only. The large amount of seawater directly stored large amount of water, it's coming through the generator, turbine generator, and it is directly stored in the enclosed basin level. There is the barrage and the sluice are there. Whenever the water level is high, the sluice gate is open. From that, the seawater is coming into the basin level. Based by using the single basin scheme, we can produce the intermittent electricity generation power only. This is the diagram. That is a single basin level only we using. That is, the basin level have a certain limit. Up to the sea level is filled with the basin up to that certain limit. Whenever the water level is low, the basin level is low. In this level, the water will be moving from the highest level to low level. That time, the turbine generator will be generate the kinetic energy into the electrical energy. Here, single basin two-way cycle method means, in previous one, we store the water in the basin, that is up to the limit of the basin, highest limit of the basin. But here we only store the minimum level of basin level only filled with the seawater. So based on that, we highly store the seawater and it will be reduced. Whenever the store the water level up to the minimum basin level, and from the minimum basin level to low level, the water will be moving. So based on that water level moving, the energy obtained from the tides are converted from the kinetic energy to electricity energy. Let's see the working principle of tidal power plants. We already discussed that based on the gravitational influence between the moon, earth and sun, the sea level is varying. So sea level is varying means, that is, the various waves are formed, whether it is in sluice gate is when the seawater is high, that is the pumping that will be used to pump the water from the high level to low level. So it will be used when the low level, that is low tides are possible, means that here we using pump to pump the water. So we generate the electricity continuously. Next type, double basin type. There is a low basin and high basin. From the low basin, first filled with the water, and the low that is when fluid tides is formed, that time the high basin filled with the water. Then it will be ebb tides, means the low basin level will filled with the seawater. Based on the variation between the low tides and flow tides, the water will be moving. Due to that moving of water, the turbine automatically generate the power consumption from the kinetic energy into the electricity energy. So double basin type, one is for flow tide and another one is for ebb tide. Based on that, the small capacity, but here we generate the continuous power generation when compared to the previous one. But the 50% of the potential energy is sacrificed for this arrangements, that is both water levels between the low level and high tides, it should be maintained. For that only 50% of the potential energy will be used. So this is one disadvantage when we using this method. And next one, double basin with pumping. there is two base types, one high basin and low basin, but sometimes the water will level is minimum, means here we using the pump to water pumping the water to the up and low level. So next, the advantage of tidal energy. There is a lot of advantages are there. The one of the renewable energy, so it is a inaccessible source of energy, and also we, from the total surface of the earth, we consumed 71% of the earth is with water, so we can produce the more electricity. And also compared to wind energy, by using the tidal energy we produce the more amount of electricity, that is the 1000 times it will be greater when compared to the wind energy. These are all the some advantages of the tidal energy. Next, there are some disadvantages of tidal energy also available. For the cost and maintenance and construction of tidal power plant is high. So also the transmission of power and maintenance cost, and that is also high. This transmission is expensive and difficult, because the tidal energy produced places, it will be very long from the places where it is consumed, so the different distance is so long, so the transmission expenses is also high and it's also difficult. These are all some disadvantage of the tidal energy. In this video we discussed about tidal energy and tidal energy types, working principle of tidal power plant, and types of tidal power plant. Thank you.